Genah. Obviously, there's only this one before the playoffs this time around. How are you feeling heading into your next fight, coming off a win in the first round?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good, like genuinely very good in terms of where I'm at and things that we have grown from the first fight 7 weeks ago now. So things are just a lot sharper, a lot more together, and yeah, I'm ready to display that on Friday.
What did you make of your first outing? Unanimous decision win. You looked very clinical in there, picked your shots nicely, and did what you needed to do. Was there anything that you particularly liked or didn't like about how that one went down?
There were things. I'm my harshest critic, and there were things that I definitely thought I could maximize on a bit more in opportunities. I did what I was supposed to in terms of what we were working on, the game plan for that particular opponent on the first fight. So those things were established. I just felt that I didn't maximize once I knew I had my range and I had her biting on certain feints and things like that we had worked on. And I made the fight a lot harder than it needed to be. People don't realize, to the casual fan, that fighting on the cage is a hard fight. And and I didn't need to be there, though I felt comfortable, though I felt that she didn't have anything for me on the cage. We would get into these clinch exchanges and end up there more often than not throughout the rounds. I had all the, again, I felt her on there. I knew she didn't have a takedown. I knew that I was getting, reversing her and scoring points. So in a way I felt safe, and yeah, just wish I opened up a bit more, if I'm being completely honest. And I called Eugene and Doug. Well, they called straight after the fight, and we spoke on video, and I was bawling my eyes out. They're like, what's wrong with you? So, it took me a couple of days just to acknowledge the growth and the things I did do really well in that fight. But, it's great. I have this next chance on Friday to show that and to let that come out.
It's interesting that you had that reaction, even if you weren't happy with the performance. I mean, it's still a win, and in this competition, a first round win is incredibly important. I feel like, if it were me, I'd be happy, but obviously I'm not an elite athlete like yourself. So
yeah, like I said, I was being very hypercritical of my performance. There were just opportunities in there that I felt and that I knew that I should have capitalize on a bit more, like I said. But what's funny, within the fight, I remember being on the cage and I reversed her, and I was kneeing off, and we were just in that getting our grips and whatnot, and something went in my head, like that was the moment that I knew I was safe in the position I was in, and that if it continues to go here, we're good. Just keep doing what you're doing. And the reason being was because in 2019, in my first round fight, I got into a war with my opponent, and I came off very, very beaten up, very, very hurt. It was a split decision, loss to me, and I had a broken nose, and I was just beaten up, and so that made camp very hard and lead up for that second fight. So that kind of went off in my brain, like, just be smart, win. And so in a way, again, it took me a few days to kind of let it settle and digest, and to acknowledge that I fought smart in there, and I made the right, I did the right things when I needed to in those moments.
And on, I think it's Friday your time, Saturday your time. No, it's Saturday our time in New Zealand. Your second round opponent, Julija Pajic. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hopefully, 3-1 like yourself, but a bit of a submission threat. What do you make of her game? I know she lost in round 1 to Laura Pacheco. Did you see much of that fight? And yeah, what do you make of it?
Yeah, did we see it? Yeah, we did. We actually just got back to the room and that fight was on, so we caught it, and it obviously didn't last long. But yeah, look, I don't have much footage at all to go off her, so you know, I'm not really worried. I've got to just go out and do what I do tactfully and smartly and set things up, and I'll be coming at her a lot more aggressive this fight.
How has it been for you these past couple of months in the States? Obviously, a lot has happened. We obviously had Fau Vake passed away while you were overseas. Israel Adesanya defended his title. It's like, you know, a lot of sort of emotional stuff has been going on that you might not necessarily have been around the people you would have liked to.
Oh man, it's been an experience that it's been rough. It's been rough. Just you know, speaking on what happened to Fau, we had just watched a UFC card that night with Volk and Frankie, Selby and I. So Selby's here with me, of course, and we had just been at their house having a chill Saturday night, and we came home to rest up and get ready for training the next morning, and then we got this message, and yeah, it was just like what? Like very surreal and unbelievable and shocking. Like, okay, how bad is it? You know, he's in hospital, but then as things unfolded, it just got heavy. It got heavy, and then it was like, okay, you know, then the news that he was on life support and his brain wasn't responding, and he could pass. It just hit, and then with that couple of weeks, you know, that he was hanging, trying to fight. Those were some rough days, sleepless nights, like, because also the time zone of New Zealand and where we were based when we were in the States, you know, we were just on the phone and getting responses and calls and messages from the team, and they were keeping us in the loop and keeping us in our thought, you know, keeping us in their thoughts and updating us constantly. So it's just an experience that I've never, it was tough. There were some really tough days throughout that time. But yeah, the team really, and I've got to thank them because they really kept Selby and I in the loop with everything as it was unfolding. And it was heartbreaking, man. It was heartbreaking. Yeah. Had any of us foreseen this tragedy happening, I wouldn't have come to America. I know that, but you know, everyone's kept us really strong and you know, told us to turn that into, you know, Fau's situation into mana and power, and to use that. And that took a few days. And then when that switched over, you know, because even training at that point, at that period, was exhausting. Like my mind wasn't, you know, would train out and would leave it, but I was so emotional that I was forcing, you know, my head to be, and I was just kind of getting it done, if I'm being honest, and just I didn't know what to feel, you know. It was a big mix of emotions between both Selby and I, of course. So yeah, it's the fact that I won't see him again was pretty tough to come to terms with, and it had its times. I had to eventually emotionally switch off and compress things to get the job done and to have my head you know, in the task at hand. But yeah, it's not until, so funny, this is the second time, apart from with, you know, people back home, but this is the second time I've openly talked about it on an interview, and I didn't realize how much I've had to suppress and just kind of yeah, to get the job done and to keep focus at the task at hand. So I'm hanging strong till this next mission is done, and yeah, and I will feel what I feel and let that come when we head back to New Zealand, and we'll have 2 weeks in quarantine, of course. So yeah, he's the first person I'm going to go see. He's the first thing I'm going to see, talk to my coaches, and they'll take me up to Waikomete, and yeah, we'll go see him.
Probably should have given you a heads up that I might bring that up. I kind of just dumped it on you, but I do appreciate the very open conversation on it.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, it's the truth. It's, yeah, it's, and we also, obviously, like we haven't been home when all this happened. So Selby and I have talked about it, actually. We're aware that we'll go home and we'll be at home and we'll feel things for the first time, you know, all of a sudden being back in the gym and just all of that. And whereas not that it's anything that anyone has gotten over or anything, but people have been there. Our people have been there and had each other and had time to grieve. And whereas, yeah, I'm not too sure what to expect, you know. But I've just had to put that aside and those thoughts aside until after the fight.
What can you tell us about life in the PFL bubble in Atlantic City?
It's rough. It's rough. We're not allowed outside. They've got it really strictly under control. That's for sure. Yeah, that we're in a really cool spot, Ocean Casino Resort here, and it's massive. It's massive, and the PFL have catered for everything in terms of what we need training-wise, food and water-wise, weight cut-wise, all of that. So they have factored everything, and they've been amazing in that regard. But there's a lot of processes, and we're not allowed outside. The furthest we're allowed outside is on the balcony that overlooks the Atlantic Ocean. So that's really nice, and you get a bit of fresh air and a sea breeze. But it's yeah, almost jumped off the balcony today. There was a big party going on downstairs, and all we could do was just watch him.
Do you feel like there are more eyes sort of drawn to the PFL this year, given a few of the new signings? I know Anthony Pettis is fighting on the same card as you, and with more eyes on the sport, do you feel like it's more of an opportunity for yourself to get your name out there?
Yeah, totally. And that's the goal, is to sign a lot more big names to bring light and attention to it even further. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a great opportunity for me to fight hard and win, and you know, whatever will come from that, but first things first, fight well and win.
Where have you been doing your training between your first fight and now? Have you been out at Xtreme Couture the whole time, or have you kind of just gone from a few gyms?
Yeah, no, we have predominantly all of our training have been at Xtreme Couture, and initially I was apprehensive at first as to how it would be, how it would go, especially when you're coming into a new team, a new gym, and how you'd be received, and like how you would integrate with the fight team. But they've been the coaches, Eric, Ray, Coach Eddie, Coach Dennis, have been nothing but accommodating and welcoming since we got there, and they've been awesome helping. I've worked with all of them, gotten a chance to work with all of them, and of course their fight team, and they've got quite an extensive team just like we do at CKB. So I've gotten some great work wrestling, sparring with their team. There's been a few girls as well, so that's been awesome. But I can't say enough good things. I'm really great. It all worked out. We found a really good routine and flow.
Was there anyone at that gym who surprised you a little bit with what they were able to offer you?
In terms of
just different looks, different skill sets, that kind of thing?
I got a chance to work with a lot of different looks and a lot of different style fighters. I've worked with so many of them. I can't even remember everyone's name. No, they've all, there's such an extensive group there. So I worked with all of them on the grappling days, on the wrestling days, sparring, MMA sparring, boxing sparring. Shucks, yeah. No, but they've got guys like Brad Tavares, Ty Guida, Taylor. Taylor, I don't know her last name, but she's also she's also in the PFL lightweight women's tournament, and she was really cool, and we got to train together and be around each other, and she was awesome. I mean, I know I would have been a bit awkward if another girl had come to my gym, and you used our facility, but we got on really well, and she's just another hard worker and puts her head down, and a girl that's about it, and we hit it off, so that was really cool. But yeah, no, I even worked with a lot of the heavyweights that are in the PFL. Like, I got on with all of them. They're all great.
Were you able to catch Casey O'Neill's fight the other day? And what did you make of that?
Yeah, we did. We caught it right before we trained, and I'm so happy for her. Obviously, I was there. We were in camp at the same time, got to see all her hard work pay off. And she came back after that first round. She was getting tagged a bit, and that her opponent put her in some positions up against the cage. Got a couple of sweeps and takedowns, and she's just hearty and go forward, and that's her style. That's her biggest attribute at the moment. So she outworked her, and that girl came out the second looking tired. So Casey capitalized, and she had her on the ground. She got some great positions and established herself, was landing the strikes, and opened up eventually for that submission. So really happy for Casey.
Finally, before I let you go, a few days between now and the fight, what does the week look like for you, and how soon after the fight are you able to come home?
So Sunday night here where I'm at. These next couple of days, just really light sweating cardio stuff, so kind of low and slow impact training in the morning, which goes for about 90 minutes. Massive sweat, and then we drill and do all of our pad work, drilling, ground positions, wall positions in the afternoon, sort of emulating around fight time, because I should be fighting here in New Jersey around 5-6 p.m. So yeah, we're just keeping to that. I've got a few cage runs. I've got one tomorrow actually, so I'll be getting in the cage and we'll do our last session in the cage tomorrow night. And then it's just the last bit of weight and weight cut. We weigh in Thursday and yeah, Friday.
And weight's feeling on point at the moment?
Yeah, no, everything's on point. We didn't have to deal with a 2-day flight this time around, so that's made things a lot less of a hassle. And also with the first fight, I was late to the bubble, which in hindsight, I'm kind of glad we were, because I don't know how people didn't fight before the fight, because it was especially at that time, they've kind of eased off on a lot of the restrictions this time around as COVID's kind of calming down in this state and things are opening up. But yeah, we were late to the bubble, and I got here what would be a normal fight week time, 6 days out, 5 days out. And that flight was massive from New Zealand. We had 3 flights in total. And so that put a bit of stress on things. But this time we haven't had to deal with that. And yeah, no, feeling all good. Yeah, feeling good in my sessions too. Like, everything's still sharp. Everything's still really concise. I have a lot of energy. So, when we train. So, yeah, just much better for it this time around.